Tonight, another woman comes forward to accuse Senate Republican nominee Roy Moore of sexual misconduct when she was a minor. Pressure now mounts for Moore to end his candidacy. We'll have the latest.
Congressional Republicans push for passage of their latest tax plan, but congressional Democrats say it is a tax break for the rich at the expense of the poor. We'll have more on that story.
And NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has a showdown with the NFL owners tonight over a new lucrative contract. Look out for fireworks. We'll have those stories and more coming up on Hofstra News Now.
Good evening. I am LaSalle Talia Devatori, and this is Hofstra News Now.
And I'm Alexi Cohan. Now here's our top story. Another woman has come forward to accuse Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore with sexual misconduct. Meanwhile, the Republican leader has called for Moore to step down. Here's the latest from CNN.
Beverly Young Nelson said she remembers the night Roy Moore offered her a ride home from work. She was 16. He was in his 30s.
He said, "You're just a child." And he said, "I am the district attorney of Etowah County. And if you tell anyone about this, no one will ever believe you."
She said she was inspired to come forward after hearing the stories of 4 other women who said Moore pursued them when they were in their teens. One woman said she was 14 when Moore forced her to touch him sexually. Moore and his family continued to deny the allegations.
Washington Post published another attack on my character reputation and desperate attempt to stop my political campaign. These attacks either involve a minor child, completely false and untrue, and for which they will be sued.
The election is only 4 weeks away, and Alabama voters are facing a tough decision. Meanwhile, in Washington, there are increasing calls for Roy Moore to step down.
I believe the women, yes. I think he should step aside.
In Washington, I'm Natasha Chen.
Another woman stepped forward to accuse former President H.W. Bush of inappropriately touching her. Rosalind Corrigan tells Time magazine that she posed for a photo with Bush in 2003 at a gathering of CIA officers north of Houston. She was 16 at the time and attended the event with her mother and father, who was an intelligence analyst. Corrigan says as the photo was being taken, Bush grabbed her buttocks and squeezed it. Bush's spokesman, Jim McGrath, says Bush apologizes to anyone he may have offended during a photo op. Corrigan is at least the 5th woman to claim Bush groped her on November 1st. Former First Lady Laura Bush, wife of George W. Bush, told CNN the alleged incidents against her father-in-law were very innocent, saying, "I'm just sad that we've come to this. I know he would feel terrible." Corrigan said she doesn't see it that way.
President Trump took to Twitter today to discuss tax reforms, adding complications to the already contentious debate. He said this morning, "I am proud of the House of Representatives and the Senate for working so hard on cutting taxes and reform. We're getting close now. How about ending the unfair and highly unpopular individual mandate in Obamacare and reducing taxes even further, cut top rate to 35% with all of the rest going to middle income cuts." Lawmakers are trying to raise revenue to pay for major tax cuts without losing the GOP vote. Getting rid of Obamacare's individual mandate would save the government $338 billion over 10 years. However, health insurance premiums will then rise a critical week for tax reform lays ahead on Capitol Hill.
Alex Azar, a former George W. Bush administration official and pharmaceutical executive, spoke today. He announced a great leap in the medical field in terms of cancer vaccines.
Today I am pleased to announce that the Food and Drug Administration has approved the first vaccine to prevent cervical cancer caused by human papillomavirus. The vaccine, Gardasil, has been approved for use in females from the ages 9 to 26. The privilege of going back with representatives of the State Department and the Department of Homeland Security.
Trump nominated Azar to be his Secretary of Health and Human Services earlier today. The president noted in a tweet that Azar will be a star for better health care and lower drug prices.
Senator Bob Menendez's bribery trial is raging on as the judge questions jurors about the comments of a dismissed juror. Away on a previously scheduled vacation, the juror was told by some of her fellow courtmates her vote, quote, didn't count because she was leaving early. If she was present for the remainder of the trial, she says she would acquit Menendez. 4 jurors and 3 alternates told the judge they had either heard or read something about the trial over the weekend. Prior to a trial, the jury is instructed not to read reports surrounding the trial. At least 452 dead and thousands more injured after a 7.3 magnitude earthquake struck the border of both Iraq and Iran Sunday night. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the epicenter was located at a rural area on the Iranian side of the border. The quake's tremors reached both capitals, Tehran and Baghdad, hundreds of miles away, making this the deadliest earthquake of the year. During this powerful earthquake, falling rocks hit a dam in the Iraqi region of Darbandakan. The top of the dam was cracked, but luckily no reported water leakage. Sadly, 4 people were killed. The Iraqi Prime Minister and Iran's Supreme Leader have both reached out for help, sending messages requesting aid from health and military agencies, as well as able civilians. The aftershocks were felt in places as far as Pakistan, Lebanon, Kuwait, and Turkey.
Taylor Swift's album is expected to be this year's bestseller. In 1 week, according to Nielsen's Music, Swift's Reputation sold 700,000 copies on the day of release. It's expected to sell over 1 million copies by the end of this week. According to Billboard, her album was hitting records before it was released. 400,000 copies were pre-ordered, beating her own personal record from her last album, 1989. If this country pop queen hits over 1 million for the album by the end of this week, this will be her 4th album to hit 1 million sales within the first week.
Renee Ventiloro will have all the sports after these messages.
Hey everybody, it's going to be just plain hot out there. So stay cool in your abode and keep your eyes on the road when you're traveling. Hey, celebrate this weekend a lot.
Every year, almost 40 children die of heat stroke after being forgotten in a vehicle. In 70-degree weather, it takes only minutes for the inside of a car to heat up like an oven. At 104 degrees, heat stroke begins, followed by loss of consciousness.
Yeah. Should go an hour and a half or so.
Leave without your child, live without them forever. Look before you lock. Brought to you by Kids in Cars.
Welcome back. Now here's sports with our own Renee Ventiloro. Renee?
Thanks, Alexi. The fate of NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell could be decided tonight. ESPN reported on Sunday Goodell asked the league's compensation committee in August to raise his salary from $30 million to $49.5 million per year. Goodell's proposed contract with the NFL is currently undergoing an approval process. He also reportedly asked to use a private jet for life and also requested lifetime health insurance for his family. The 58-year-old has been league commissioner since 2006. Goodell currently is embattled with Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who has threatened to sue the NFL if negotiations regarding Goodell's contract extension are finalized without approval from all NFL team owners. Jones has reportedly expressed concern that Goodell is overpaid and not performing well. One NFL owner told ESPN that there are, quote, several owners in this league that don't make $40 million a year. He continued, that number for Roger just seems too much. It's offensive. It's unseemly. The NFL Compensation Committee will hold a conference call later today to discuss the further push ahead of the proposed trade for Goodell. We are coming up on Week 11, and somehow Ben McAdoo still has his job after New York Giants suffered an embarrassing loss at the hands of the winless San Francisco 49ers. Despite the pain, there is a glimmer of hope that is waiting for them on the horizon, and that is the fact that they are the 1-8 Giants. They have a high pick for the 2018 NFL Draft. They take on the Kansas City Redskins this Sunday. Back to you, Alexi and LaSalle.
That wraps up your sports. I'm Alexi Cohen.
And I'm LaSalle Devatori.